What's really happening in the real estate market? We're going to talk about that right now. So it's official. The first month has passed after the foreign buyer ban set by the federal government. Now, despite this, sales and home prices have not plummeted like a lot of experts and analysts thought they would. And the main reason for this happening is because there's a lot less homes available, even compared to February of 2022, which was the peak of the real estate market. Okay, now, if you are currently living in Toronto or you know someone that lives in Toronto, please ensure that they fill out the occupancy forms. Okay, essentially what this is that the city of Toronto wants to ensure that homes are not being vacant for more than 6 months. Okay, and if you don't fill this out before end of February, you will be getting a fine of about $250. Plus, there's going to be a 1.25% interest the first day of default. On another note, the Bank of Canada has raised rates by 25 basis points, which is the 8th consecutive interest rate hike. Okay, now the good news is that the inflation has come down to 6.3% in December from 8.1% in June. And it is expected that inflation will continue to come down. Okay, now the reason why is that they're expecting that it's going to be less foreign demand for Canadian products, which will allow Canadian supply chains to catch up. Now, inflation is expected to drop to 3% this year, and next year it's going to be dropping down to 2% in 2024, which is their ideal target. And if this happens, they're not going to raise interest rates again. Now, the second note that we should talk about is the provincial governments with Bill 23. Essentially, it's the More Homes Built Faster Act by the Ford government. And essentially what this means is it allows developers to waive the development charges, but this causes municipalities all over Toronto to lose $5 billion. Now, this is considerably a lot less of taxes that they're collecting, and so they need to come up with this shortfall in other ways. And what they're all going to be doing is to raise property taxes. Now, East Gwillimbury is going to be hit hardest, is what analysts expect, which is about 100%. Okay, Toronto and Aurora is going to be about 6%. Richmond Hill hasn't come out with a number yet, but it is expected that they lose $330 million over 10 years. And in Vaughan, it's going to be anywhere from $169 million to $175 million. Okay, so they may raise property taxes by 77 to about 88% if they don't come up with revenue in other ways. Okay, Markham is going to be about 6.4%, but it hasn't been finalized yet. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please let me know. But for now, let's dive right into the numbers. Let's go. Looking at the Markham real estate, we can tell that the active listings have become very similar compared to December of last year. Okay, and if you compare it to the all-time high, the peak, there's even less listings now than back in February. Okay, now it's interesting to note that that's not necessarily the case when it comes to condo apartments. And for semi-detaches, it also went down. Very similar to detaches. Now, looking at the actual number of transactions that happened though, for detaches, it actually went up by 6 transactions. And for semis, it just went up by 1. Right now, if you look at the condo apartments and the condo townhouses, right, they both went down. So it really depends on the type of home that you're looking at and looking to purchase or downsize. And you can see here that the average sold prices for the higher valued homes, the detaches, the semis, they've gone down on a month-to-month basis. Okay, but for the condo apartments, the townhouse, they both went up on a month-to-month basis. Okay, so for detaches specifically, they went down by 7% on a month-to-month basis, whereas the semi-detaches went down by 8%. Okay, but for the townhouses, it went up by 4%, and the condo apartments, they actually went up by 5% on a month-to-month basis. So we're going to look at the type of market, right? Within Markham here, we can see that for condo apartments, it's gone up to more of a balanced market. It's still a seller's market throughout all types of homes in Markham. Okay, this is not necessarily the case for other parts of Ontario. Okay, condo apartments usually are more favored to the buyers right now, just because there's a lot more units available. Okay, but in this case, in Markham, it's still a seller's market. Anything from 0 to 5 is the actual seller's market. From 5 to 6 is a balanced market, and from 6 onwards it becomes more of a buyer's market where you're able to negotiate more. All right, so lastly, but we're going to look at the days on market, right? How long does it take to sell a home in Markham? And again, it really depends on the type of home, but we can see that for detaches, it went from 19 days to 18 days on a single month, and for all-time high of February, it doubled to 18 days versus 9. Okay, now if you look at the condo apartments, very similar, 34 days. Okay, unless you have something very attractive, very unique, fully furnished, fully redone, then it may cause your condo to sell quicker. Now, interesting note here though, the condo townhouses taken 11 additional days to sell on a month-to-month basis, whereas the semis actually as well, it actually doubled as well, so 17 additional days to sell semi-detached. So a lot of people are applying the wait and see type model compared to the February figures, but this is really how the market usually is, because if you look at pre-pandemic figures, right, January 2020, the numbers are somewhat similar, right? For the condo apartments, for the condo townhouses, 30 days for each to sell. For detaches, 28 days. Okay, so it's actually taking a lot quicker to sell a detached in Markham now than in the past. Okay, and it really makes sense because it is a seller's market still. Okay, don't get that mixed up, guys. Okay, a lot of people get mixed up, including real estate agents. A lot of them are part-time. Okay, so be careful about that. Not every agent is the same. So if you have any questions, if you find this video useful, please like it, share it, subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.